My job is to teach people. How many people in this country you think know that 18% of the country elects 52 senators? The answer is not very many. How many people in this country know that in the last 9 presidential elections, the Democrats have won 7 in the popular vote? Not very many people. How many people in this country know that Supreme Court justices are the only people in the federal system that operate with no rules of ethics, no guidelines, no nothing?
Donald Trump launched this war recklessly. That understates the case. General Eisenhower once said, planning is worthless once war starts, as the unexpected is inevitable, but planning is essential to give you the flexibility to change or adapt. Look at Normandy. Trump entered this war thinking it was going to be a piece of cake. He bombed Iran, obliterated their nuclear capacity, no trouble. Took Venezuela a matter of hours. We'll find our Delcy quickly. He would totally con. Just turned upside down by Bibi Netanyahu, who told him, we'll take out their leaders. The populists will rise up. Wrong. They have a very entrenched, very bad structure over there. And the thought of the Iranian junior varsity taking over the Straits of Hormuz, blocking shipping, and giving them enormous leverage never was taken seriously. Finally, Trump figured a big military victory. Here I am, a great hero. The patent of my time would bolster his political standing. Always it's about him. That too is boomeranged, and he's more unpopular than ever. James, I really think no prominent world leader has gone into something as unprepared since Neville Chamberlain in Munich.
Yeah, there's some books that defend Chamberlain at Munich. I'm go through it, but actually there wasn't much they could do about it anyway. But be that as it may,
he didn't do whatever he did very well.
He didn't do whatever he did very well, but he tried not to start a war. Trump, I don't want to defend it, but just to say, it's really, really highly, highly stupid. And the Iraq War, which I was bitterly opposed to, at least there was a rationale. In the minds of a lot of people that did it, there was a good rationale. It turned out, and they thought it was smart, it turned out not to be, but Trump didn't have a rationale. He had no idea what he's doing. He had no idea what he's trying to accomplish. Nothing. And Bibi just tricked him into doing it. It's clear. You read Maggie and Jonathan Swain's piece, and more and more are going to come out. And the more we're going to find out about this, and trust me, we don't know, we know 10%, the worse it's going to be for it.
Yeah, Trump does all this from his own instincts, which are bad, by the way, uninformed and ignorant. He has no national security apparatus. Marco Rubio, not very strong himself, is both Secretary of State and the National Security Advisor. So there's planning's impossible, really, because you don't have planners. And I think that shows. And it's just, he is desperate to do 2 things right now. To come out as a forceful guy, a tough guy, help him at home, and 2, to get the hell out. And you know what, James? Those are in conflict. He can't achieve them.
Well, he doesn't think anything out. This was just impulsive. He just did it. He thought it was going to be Venezuela. Who knows what's in his mind? It's so addled to start with. It was just something he said, I'll do this. I'll be great. I'll be a wartime president. I don't know. But people are paying for this every day at the gas pump, and they know it.
Yep. Wall Street Journal had a piece that when they were planning on how to rescue those that pilot that was shot down, that they wanted to make sure Trump wasn't in the meeting because they knew, they didn't put it this way, but basically that he would screw it up. That's something when the big decisions made and planners are there, and I think it was at the White House, just make sure the president's not there. That's where we are.
Yeah.
James, on a separate matter, Virginia passed a redistricting bill, which if upheld by the courts, which it probably will be, would give Democrats who currently have a 6-5 advantage in congressional seats a 10-1 advantage. That is an awful outcome. Virginia is a blue state, but it's not a 90% blue state. Democrats, however, had no choice. This was all due to Donald Trump, who, desperate to avoid losing the House, last year demanded Republicans gerrymander in Texas and elsewhere, and they were going to try to fix the elections. What he didn't figure was the Democrats would respond just as ruthlessly. California and Virginia in particular. And I'll say this, as I say, I think the outcome of Virginia is terrible. I would have voted for it, even though I think it's terrible. They did it by referendum. The voters decided, rather than backroom deals like they did in Texas and in Missouri and elsewhere. And over the weekend, I heard these Republican talking points on CNN saying, okay, California offset Texas, but there's no justification for Virginia. Tell them to look next door at North Carolina, a purple, slightly red state, gerrymandered their congressional districts for what's expected to be a 11-3 advantage. I'll tell you, 11-3 in North Carolina is every bit as bad as 10-1 in Virginia. Trump, who only cares about himself, started this whole damn fiasco, and in the end, I think it may help Democrats more than it helps him.
Well, you got to blame the Supreme Court, too. I mean, I hate to bring the bearer of bad news, but the great American institution called the Supreme Court said, we don't care, there's no equal protection, there's no anything. Legislature can do what they want. They're kind of fake through where you just can't do some things on race, but they don't believe that anyway. And the court has become so disreputable, so unpopular, and look at the polls. I'm not the only person that believes that. It has to be saved from itself. That's how bad it's become. But they're the people that let this stuff go with all this cockamamie 11-3. I mean, as if the voters aren't required to have equal protection during redistricting. I have no idea how you come up with that theory. That legal theory could work, but they say it does. They're corrupt. No code of ethics, no rules of conduct, no nothing.
And same as in North Carolina, it was a state court. I must say, I think Democrats were asleep at the switch in 2022 when they didn't understand how important that state Supreme Court election was. But look, this whole thing is, I firmly believe in bipartisan redistricting. I really do. It won't happen because if one side does it and the other doesn't, California had it, Texas didn't, Virginia had it, North Carolina didn't. You can't unilaterally disarm. And until you get to the point where both sides agree that this is a war race that only hurts democracy. I mean, the problem with this is when you let politicians choose their voters rather than voters choose their politicians, you create politicians who have very little incentive to govern or compromise. So it's a terrible system, but this year it was all brought on by Donald Trump.
Yeah, I think the Supreme Court did its part, but yeah, it wouldn't have happened without Trump.
Well, no, but this year was all Trump. Starting. Yeah. I mean, we haven't had Bush and Obama and Biden, or no, Biden's different because it was after a census. They didn't try to get some kind of a redistricting